Whew, alrighty. This one actually works. So I moved my computer a little bit closer to the Wi-Fi source. It says I've got 5 bars on my internet code, which is the highest it can go for me. So if there's technical difficulties, I honestly have no idea. Welcome back, Siso. You guys might have to resend some of the stuff that you sent in the previous stream because I didn't get a chance to read it all. Because I definitely didn't want to ignore you guys. I was just, there was one point where everything froze and then everything just exploded into view. So I'm going to get a link here. And then I'm going to try posting it on Twitter again. Hope that doesn't crash everything. All right, I'm still here. I'm still here, guys. That works. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I did see those. Yeah, actually, my birthday was really good. So my brother Michael, you can see a case in the background of. He bought me this giant collection of Breath of the Wild stuff, and including this shoulder bag, which I can't get enough shoulder bags. I've got a huge collection in my closet over there from all the conferences I've done. It also came with a Breath of the Wild lunchbox and a Breath of the Wild water jug. Still have to wash this out. It looks disgusting. Breath of the Wild Champions pin set. And then we've got a decal set for the champions. I think that, and also have a pen and a journal somewhere. Here we go. And we have a Breath of the Wild journal. So, really good haul. And then my parents got me some GameStop gift cards, which I used to get the expansion pass for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. It hasn't come out yet, but at least I know that I'll get it when it does come out, so that way I can review/play the DLC. My sister got me... You guys are going to think this is so cute. My sister got me just a huge, gigantic container of peach iced tea, and she knows me so well because I love iced tea. It's my favorite drink. It's my favorite dessert, actually, if we're going to be technical. Also, for those of you that didn't come to my last stream, I also finally bought the Banjo-Kazooie amiibo, and it's a dream come true. It's absolutely magnificent how this worked out. And then my mom's best friend, Donna, who's also a good friend of mine, she got me a jug of root beer. Thank you, Saiso. It's perfect because Banjo-Kazooie was one of 2 games I had growing up, and obviously I had a lot of expectations for how I wanted them to be portrayed in Smash, and they nailed it. They absolutely did it pretty much pixel perfect, exactly how I wanted it. And that's a mark of really good fan feedback and game design, where they know, like, okay, the original Banjo fans grew up on the Nintendo 64 version, so let's be more faithful to the original Nintendo 64 edition. So before I get too much into my upcoming birthday plans, because a lot of them had to be delayed until a couple of days from now, I want to hear from you guys first. So what's been some of the latest news on your side? Also, Zoe, are you still here? You seem to have had some technical difficulties of your own. Hope I didn't scare you away by that black screen. That sounds really cool, JP. Sadly, I live in the north, so not a whole lot of people drink sweet tea up here, but I tend to be a little bit addicted just because it tastes good and it gives me kind of a soothing feel to me. Like, water is cool and all that, but sweet tea, it just seems to go the extra mile. So, let me reiterate in case you guys didn't hear me properly, because in my webcam I'm looking a little bit choppy. What's been going on for? Oh, there you go. Oh, well, that's okay. I don't think live streams are necessarily the how do I word this? They're not explicitly designed with being deep in mind. Like, I know certain streamers tend to be like, you can tell me everything. I'm like your extended family. I mean, I don't mind if you do that, but it's not also my area of expertise. So I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. If you want to, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm not gonna say you're stupid just because you happen to be feeling miserable on my stream. Hey, the lighting is absolutely terrible today, but hopefully that doesn't bother you guys too much. What about you, JP? What's been going on with you? And mysterious third person that hasn't said hi, unless that just counts as unless that just counts as me. Ah, there you are, Zoe. Welcome back. I was really scared for a moment because you like disappeared. If you could resend your messages that you sent in the previous stream, that way I can properly respond. You don't have to send them word for word, but like if you had a question or something, I would appreciate it if you would rewrite it so I don't feel like I'm ignoring you. Jiu-jitsu? Is that like a an equivalent of karate? Because I took a couple of karate lessons with my uncle. Didn't get very far though, but I'd like to do it again if there's a version for us older people. Oh, yes, I did, Zoe. You grappling. You might have to explain that in a bit more detail because I'm thinking of like when Ryu grabs his opponents and flicks them over his shoulder in Smash Brothers. So Zoe, you missed how I was talking about some of my birthday presents. How I got this Breath of the Wild handbag. For those of you that already saw it, I hope you don't mind seeing it again. But it also came with this Breath of the Wild canteen, this Breath of the Wild lunchbox, okay, you get the point that it's Breath of the Wild. It's all themed on my favorite game. These champion decals, champion pins, which I'm probably never going to use because I have a fear of needles, and a journal and pen, which you can't see very well here, but they all have like the logos of the divine beasts on the sides. Yeah, Breath of the Wild wasn't exactly known for its wild and vibrant colors, so it works as sort of a nice, relaxed, earthy feel. But actually, the most fun of my birthday is actually yet to come because a lot of my friends weren't available for my actual birthday. So, what we're going to do is my friend Amanda is going to call me to. I actually don't really like journaling. I tend to write little tidbits of useless information in my notebooks. And so that leads to it probably contributes to why I have such a good memory because I like to write things down. And if you take something like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, which, my gosh, I think it currently has 1,018 songs in its soundtrack, that would take up probably an entire journal by itself if I wrote down all of that. So writing down things from smaller games in the past has helped me to remember more things overall. So yeah, so just to name a couple of upcoming plans, and feel free to interrupt me, you guys. I don't want to do all the talking today. Oh, that's cool, JP. It seems like you'd have to be a lot more strategic rather than just being like, dude, I'm gonna knock you over. And welcome, mysterious fourth person. Glad you could make it. So my other plans are this Saturday. I've got my friend Amanda who's gonna call me, and we're gonna plan to go to the swimming pool together. Then we've got my friend Sarah. Well, that's a couple of months from now. But then I've got my other friend Sarah, who's going to hang out with me on Tuesday. And then my friends Danielle and Matt, you guys know they're like the big cheeses of my friend group. They're going to hang out on Sunday. And they're also going to buy my sister Taco Bell to make sure she doesn't feel left out. Then I'm hanging out with my buddies Nick, Ann, and my best friend Andy on Saturday. And then I start work training from Tuesdays to Thursdays. And it's paid work training. So I'm going to be working at Walgreens, which, for those of you that might not have it in your home state slash home country, it's basically a drugstore slash convenience store. I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. I imagine something along the lines of janitorial work, just because I was the dining room host at Culver's with my previous job, and then I had to quit it because I had to move. So I'm just now getting paid training. Oh, Furim. I think that's how you pronounce it. He gave me a guide on how to pronounce his name, and I'm still so bad at it. But I'm gonna try. I know we Americans aren't the best at pronunciation, but I'm gonna try. And I think I probably forgot a couple of details here and there, but I actually only have one thing left on my bucket list of like things I want to do before I get like really, really old. And that's I really want to go to a water park. So I'm probably gonna make plans to do that at some point. I don't know when, but um my friend Amanda said she's willing to take me, so I'll have to ask her when she calls on the phone. Yeah, I being homeschooled, we tend to select our friends carefully, and I had happened to select a lot of good ones. Yeah, I'm so glad you got a chance to go to Culver's, Zoe. Don't they have like the best ice cream in the world? Well, they don't like you calling it ice cream, they like you calling it custard. Sadly, Tiki, unless it's for the Switch, I am completely out of the loop on Genshin Impact, unless I mean, you're pretty much the only person I know keeps me who keeps me on the loop of Genshin, so I honestly have no clue what you're talking about. If you wanna talk about it, that's totally cool with me. I yeah, the I my dad one time asked me, "What is my favorite dessert?" And I said, "Culver's custard." Hands down. When I worked at Culver's, I actually got a free meal for my lunch break, and so I would always make sure to get the flavor of the day, and what I also love about Culver's is that every single day it felt like the flavor of the day was something brand new. And so, sure, they would repeat things once a new month started, but during the month they had a new flavor for all 30/31 days of the month. It was amazing. I don't think I ever had their milkshakes, ISO, and I worked there, so that's saying something. But I'll take your word for it because I really, really like mint shakes. My favorite type of shake is actually Jamocha. So if I ever get to meet one of you guys in person, um, I think it would be really cool if we could like sit down and have a Jamocha shake because that would be so cool. So I think that's all of my immediate birthday plans. I've just got some really quality friends and you guys being my loyal viewers that really that adds to the virtual atmosphere. And some of my YouTube audience, we've even gotten to the point where we can actually like talk to each other outside of just YouTube comments and streams, which I really appreciate because one of the biggest goals of this YouTube channel, I say one of the biggest, was to create conversations. I know I'm not the most popular or the most charming YouTuber out there, but I at least want to think I'm the most approachable so that people can just Since you said that, Furum, I have to do the da 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 or da 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 from Fire Emblem to really emphasize it. Okay, let's see. Crumb coffee cake. I've never actually heard of that before, but that sounds really cool. I'm actually really glad that you were able to find a community in your jujitsu club, JP, because I I didn't really have too many friends in high school until I joined a youth group. Of course, my best friend was in the youth group, but that was better than nothing. Sadly, Saiso, I haven't even I haven't even played the actual game yet. So it's cool that there's new stuff, but that just means there will be more stuff for me to discover when I actually do play it. Advice on making friends. That might be a bit of a long story. So people have no objections, I can go into depth. But for now, until I get some better answers, the short answer is I would say it really helps if you go into a group where you all have a shared either moral code or a shared interest. So for example, if you're an anime fan, go to an anime convention. If you're a Catholic, go to a Catholic youth group. In my case, I went to a Catholic youth group. I chaperoned a lot of Catholic conferences. I went to a video game themed swing dancing. Admittedly, I didn't really keep in touch with any of them, but it was still a lot of fun while it lasted. And I imagine if there's ever a convention for people that love Banjo Kazooie, I'd probably go to that one too. So I would say that's the simple answer, Zoe. Does that answer your question so far? Who's Alua? Or oh, is that another Genshin Impact? You'll have to explain to me the system of stars, Saiso, because I don't really play those kinds of gacha games. So I'm wondering, like, why not just give you the character instead of starring it? But still, it is really cool. Like, even if I don't understand what you're saying about Genshin, it's still really cool that you're so passionate about it. Because I really like hearing about people that are gamers. I like hearing. Let me declare this right now, guys. If you want to just come onto the stream and just say, Paul, let me tell you about all the games that I like, go for it. Because honestly, as great as most of my friends are, a lot of them aren't hardcore gamers. And that kind of sort of hurts my gamer heart. So whenever I get a chance to be around people that actually do play video games, even if it's just one game like Wii Sports Resort, it means a lot to me. Now, I'm not trying to out anyone who isn't a gamer, but just saying if you do play games, I don't mind if you blab about them a whole lot. So if you're thinking, Saiso, don't annoy Paul. No, that's not annoying me at all. That's actually a really good birthday present. Do you need any more advice, Zoe, or do you think that's enough to go by for now? Because I actually had a lot of trouble making friends after I was kicked out of school because I kind of felt like I was the outcast wherever I went after that. And really, once I started youth group, that really helped. And then after youth group, I joined a young adult group, and that immensely helped. Then I joined another young adult group, and I figured out that I was attracted to girls at that point, finally. And that really helped me progress into being comfortable with asking out girls. I wouldn't say on dates. I don't really believe in dating before you get to know someone, but like being okay with the possibility of a romantic relationship. So those big three, youth group, young adult group, and then the second young adult group, were big milestones in my life. And then I also went on a lot of mission trips and conferences and retreats and all that, and that really helped. Um, I actually a female? Oh, there's plenty of females in my life, Furim. I would say I actually have more female friends than males. Like the few. Oh, my apologies. You probably don't want me to talk about that anymore. All right, I'll shut up. Let's see. Well, I think for you, Zoe, your interests seem to be in the realm of like Myers-Briggs slash philosophy. So I would recommend maybe if you have Facebook, for instance, if you had, say, a Facebook group of people that also like philosophy or another Facebook group for objective personality, that could be a really good option because I joined a Myers-Briggs group based on my personality. Admittedly, I didn't make too many friends there, but it at least got me into the habit of learning how to exercise my social skills a lot more. And here's a really good tip I gave to my best friend who's ridiculously awkward. So, you guys may have noticed that I have quite a big t-shirt collection. I might not wear all of them on my streams because some of them I like more than others, but you see how this shirt just it kind of exudes like, hey, I'm giving you permission to be excited. So, if you wear a t-shirt that has something that you're really passionate about, a lot of times that itself is a conversation starter. So, for example, one time I was at a conference. Hey there, Jevel. Welcome back. I'm doing great. As you probably guessed by the title, it was my birthday a couple of days ago. And so this is like a belated celebration. And then I've got more coming up because I had to accommodate to my friends. But yeah, I was wearing a Twilight Princess t-shirt. And the girl behind me in the line to Burger King said, "Oh my gosh, I love Twilight Princess." And that got us started on a conversation. And even though we didn't really keep in touch after that, I know that if I were to ever see her again, we would probably act as though we were best of friends. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to be super inappropriate, but if I were to turn around right now and show you guys my drawer, like, it's practically overflowing with t-shirts. And a lot of them have my interests on them, or they have like a Catholic message, because I got a lot of them from Catholic conferences. So I have a t-shirt that says acceptance on the front because the theme of the conference was look past the cover. And I also have a Banjo-Kazooie t-shirt. For now, you'll just have to make do with the amiibo. But I do have a t-shirt that looks exactly like this render so that people know, hey, you're a banjo guy, so that can start conversations. I have a Smash Brothers t-shirt, a Sonic shirt, a Link shirt. I've got shirts for pretty much everything. So thank you for the birthday wishes, Jevil. Yes, I am excited for E3. That's definitely something I'm looking forward to, especially if they well, you've heard me talk about this in Pegasus's streams, but I'm really hoping that they do something similar to how they revealed Banjo because that was just I mean, you guys see me excited on these streams all the time, but as far as excitement for a video game announcement, that typically doesn't happen. Like if I'm watching an I'll use my Switch to pantomime it. If I'm watching a Nintendo Direct or a presentation and there's a game that comes out that's really cool, I'll just be like, "Hmm, oh wow, very nice." And then I'll talk about it later. But when Banjo was announced, oh my gosh, I I was running through the house screaming in joy, and that hardly ever happens. So that's saying something. Wow, that's housing system? It took them that long just to put a house in an open world game. Man, they're lazy. Well, Zoe, it doesn't just have to be hobbies. It could also be stuff that you like talking about. Because if you take my hobbies, it's pretty much just video games and YouTube and chaperoning Catholic stuff. But I wouldn't say that's a hobby, more of like a special occurrence. Especially because the last time I went on a big, giant Catholic event was February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. So I've been kind of missing that a lot lately, and it's kind of up in the air if I'll ever chaperone something again. But I'm definitely not giving up. If there's an opportunity to do it again, we just have to wait until the pandemic loosens. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Jevel. I'm thinking the next character reveal will be in May, and I'm thinking E3 will be the final one. But this is Nintendo we're talking about. They're almost never predictable. So that's why I try to stay away from speculation videos. In fact, if you guys decide to do prediction videos, unless if you're a really, really, really good YouTuber, I'm probably going to block them just because a lot of times if a person speculates something that I didn't already think of, I feel like in itself it's kind of a spoiler because I like the element of surprise. I like going into Smash reveals and being like, "Oh, never thought of that character." And that's why I don't like to look at leaks. I don't like to watch prediction videos. I don't mind discussing predictions, but I don't like predictions that are based on leaks. I don't like predictions that are based on solid evidence. The only exception was when there was evidence that Banjo would be in Smash because I was just too desperate. Uh, well, I would like to say so, but I would also really like to know if it was coming to Switch because I don't really have the systems to play it if it's not on the Switch. So even if I wanted to, it would be really hard because I gave away my Steam info to my friend Nick and I don't have any of the latest systems. I think the latest system I have that's not Nintendo is an Xbox 360, but I don't even know how to work that thing. Like their menus are so convoluted. So that's usually what my sister plays. And even she doesn't play it that much. So, well, I don't think I'd mind Genshin leaks as much, Saiso, just because I've never played the game. And so I really have no idea what they're talking about. Now, if you told me there was a leak that it could come on the Switch, I think I'd be okay. But for your sake, Saiso, let me specify that when I refer to leaks, I'm referring to stuff that I'm already interested in that Nintendo hasn't officially announced. So, for example, if someone says it has been revealed that the next Smash character will be Neku, I'll be like, I mean, that's cool, but I would have preferred to have seen Neku coming out of the blue. Or if they said like, "Hey, it's been leaked that there's a Banjo-Kazooie remaster on the Switch," I'll be like, "That's amazing." But I really didn't want to know that. I wanted to be totally surprised. But if it's something like leaks a cool new open world game that's like Breath of the Wild, I'll be like, "Yeah, okay, that was an inevitability anyway." Yes, I do know what characters you're predicting, Jevil. Honestly, I I wouldn't be too disappointed with Rayman either. But you know how I am, Jevil. I don't only talk about the characters. I tend to look at everything that comes with a fighter. So fighter, spirits, stages, music, and classic mode are usually what I think about. So even if hypothetically you're correct, um, then then uh, what was I going to say? Even if you're hypothetically correct with your other prediction about Doom Guy, I would say as long as he has good music, a good stage, good classic motor, I'm totally fine. In that respect, I guess you could say anyone is fair game for me as a character, even if I don't like the game, as long as the supplemental material is good. And that's why I think people made too much of a big deal about Byleth, because sure, Byleth may have been a very samey play it safe type of character, but Byleth has some of the most amazing music tracks in the game. So I think a lot of people just didn't listen to those music tracks and they didn't look at how beautiful the stage was and they just saw what they wanted to see. And I think that's unfortunate. Yeah. We don't really like spoilers either, JP. Like my family used to watch um, Once Upon a Time right when it came out, and we would never, ever, ever look up previews. We got to the point where um, we would be totally surprised about whatever the next episode would be. We would turn it off when it would give a preview. We wouldn't look at director interviews or anything like that. And if we ever were spoiled about something, it was when season 7 was airing. Because at that point, we were like, okay, so season 7 is pretty much just an add on to the series as opposed to being a legitimate continuation. I mean, that could very well be Jeva, but I'm terrible at predicting things. I'm generally so bad at predicting when something is going to happen. The only time I've ever even been remotely right was when I kept telling my friend Kevin, Banjo's going to be in. There's enough evidence to support it. And he kept saying, don't get your hopes up, Paul. So the day that Banjo was announced, I walked into work and he glared at me and he said, I hope you're happy. So I sure told him. Um, so on to the topic of something that's more, I guess, broadly relatable, because I want to make sure that no one is left out here. I was wondering what you guys thought about. Um, I was wondering, like, do you guys watch Marvel at all? And also, like, what are your thoughts on the current climate of the world being a lot more politically driven? Like, do you miss the old days where you could just watch a cartoon and just enjoy it for being a cartoon, as opposed to watching a cartoon and figuring, oh dear, they're just trying to shove their views down our throats? Because if you look at a movie like The Lion King, that's probably like the pinnacle of animation at its peak, where the 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 agenda of The Lion King wasn't trying to push a particular angle, and there's speculation about what religion they were even going for. There are some that say it's an allegory of Jesus's birth and resurrection. There are some that say it's like Shakespeare. And so it's open to multiple interpretations. And really the most political thing they really have is if you don't like all the jokes about Pumbaa passing gas. So it pretty much anyone can watch it and they can enjoy it and they can get the message of, like face your past. And that's cool. Let's see here. Yeah, I've had to tell my brother that Steve wasn't a joke. Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe that wasn't the best question to ask. Let me rephrase that. What kind of cartoons do you guys think, or not necessarily cartoons, but like what kind of what kind of movies do you think were the pinnacle of their time? And do you wish that things would go back to that old style? Like, Saiso, what did you used to watch? Because you probably watched a lot more Japanese stuff than I did. So I'm curious if Japanese animation has gotten better or worse over the years. I actually really liked Moana while I was watching it, but I never actually finished it. I think my sister was too scared of the big guy with all the tattoos. She didn't really like how he like flexed his muscles and that would cause his tattoos to have animations, and I think that scared her away, but I really liked it. I think it was neat how they actually really tried really hard to portray Moana's culture, and that apparently they subverted a lot of expectations of like what a Disney princess should be. I think my favorite Disney movie would have to be I think I'm gonna have to go with The Lion King, honestly. Like, I know that's a cop out answer because pretty much everyone who's my age says The Lion King, but it shows excuse me, it shows how an animated movie can still feel just as realistic as a live action one, and in some cases, it actually feels even more realistic than the live action Lion King movie. I watched I thought Treasure Planet and Atlantis were the same thing, but that movie where Michael J. Fox played and they took the ship down into Atlantis, that was a really cool movie. Not sure if that was Disney, but it was still really cool. The only Japanese show I've actually seen, Saiso, is Death Note. So if you've ever seen that, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Oh my gosh, I wish I could see the High School Musical, the series, but my sister doesn't let me, and I usually don't like watching movies without her, so I end up missing out on a lot of stuff that I want to watch. And this is gonna sound like totally not Catholic at all, but hear me out, guys. I really want to watch Teen Beach Party, but my sister always says it's gross. But I say, yes, it seems like a corny adult movie, but it's actually basically just Back to the Future, but taking place around the ocean and not having as many perverted adult jokes. And I like time travel stories in general. So I'm really hoping it'll be like a good family friendly, maybe slightly cheesy show that I can watch on my downtime. Yeah, well, I wouldn't have a problem with Crash because I did just review Crash 4. I saw Brave only once, but I had a hard time hearing it at the time. So I'd have to watch it again to see if I missed something because I feel like I should have liked it more than I did. But for some odd reason, I don't know, something was off about it. But maybe that's, like I said, because the volume was just too low. Well, Death Note is a pretty niche audience. Like, it seems like one of those shows where you have to be into horror, but then the main point of the show is trying to look at two different people who think they're executing justice, but doing it two different ways. And so the psychological tactics they use on each other are really enjoyable to me. Oh, Falcon and Winter Soldier's over already, Jubble? Man, I felt like it just started. I'll have to talk to my sister and see what she thinks, because we've been watching it together and we both have really kind of mixed views on it. Like, she doesn't like all the politics. I'm kind of indifferent to them. I'm more of just like, yeah, okay, it's cool to see. It's cool to see Anthony Mackie in another Marvel movie because he was so underused in the series. Yeah, I'm curious too, Zoe, how you can have the totally opposite opinion of Brave. Although I think if I were to ever watch Brave again, it would be really hard to separate it from Once Upon a Time because one of the seasons in Once Upon a Time had Merida as a character. And oh my gosh, Amy Manson did an amazing job. Yeah, my sister and I finished WandaVision and we liked it at first. Near the finale, it started to get really weird and confusing. But then we were told, like, oh, this is just an initiation phase into Marvel going into another phase. To which I said, that's so weird, but okay, if that's how you want to play it. I definitely liked all the references to old fashioned sitcoms. That was really cool. That is nice that the Tintin was willing to be that experimental with their materials, because that's why I really liked Arthur, because Arthur tackled stuff, like, it tackled autism and, parents dying and cancer and a lot of really deep stuff. They may not have always succeeded in what they were trying to do, like the episode where they tried to teach kids not to swear. I'm pretty sure a lot of kids my age are probably potty mouths now because of what Arthur said, because the message was swearing is a way of saying that I want to hurt your feelings. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us are like, there are plenty of people I can think of where I want to hurt their feelings. Well, for me, Saiso, it's really hard for me to get into anime, but I would say if it has some semblance of realism, where like the plot feels like, even if it's grounded in fantasy, that it could hypothetically be a real story. I am I am overjoyed that you said that, Jevil, because Zero Time Dilemma is such a passion game for me. Like I said to Pegasus, I beat it in only 2 days when it first came out, and I played it over 20 times. And so many people misunderstand that game, but I think it's because most of the people that play Zero Time Dilemma, after they've played it once, they're so disgusted by how they had hoped the series would conclude that it got their hopes up too much and they didn't appreciate it for what it was. But when you play it 20 different times, you begin to see things that you never saw before. Like you could say, oh, they said they were going to mention that character. And even if they weren't mentioned explicitly, they're mentioned implicitly over here. So I really think that if Zero Time Dilemma in any way disappoints you, Jubble, just talk to me. I'll find a way to make it exciting. Why, thank you, John. I'm really glad you could join us. Yeah, I get it. People have schedules. Hey, the fact that you stopped by even just for a little bit means a lot to me. Yeah, feel free to explain. Just know that I'm not a huge fan of horror films unless if it's kind of a realistic horror. I tend to not like the anime art style in general, not for the same reasons you guys think. It's mainly just because it feels unrealistic. Like one infamous scene in Death Note that just really drives me crazy is there's a scene where the police office is supposed to be panicking about a serial killer. And I'm being vague on purpose in case you guys want to watch the show. And they're not even animating the police officers panicking. And then by the time they finally do switch to the main guy who's talking, only his mouth is moving. His eyes aren't like going crazy. His hands aren't waving in fury. He's just like, we must do whatever it takes to stop this killer. And it's like, that's not how a realistic person would express horror. Now, and that's why I keep bringing up The Lion King, because nearly every single frame of animation has some kind of expression, be it a twitch of their eyes or how they shake their mane or how Scar will narrow his eye slits. It gives you the impression that the characters have real personality and they come across as humanoid. And the animations are also realistic at the same time because they had actual lions in the studio so that they could make sure that the animations were as realistic as possible while still conveying a sense of humanism. Whereas when I'm watching Death Note, I don't get the impression that these guys are humans. I get the impression that they're puppets, which completely just ruins the moment for me. Yeah, I think I do like WandaVision a lot better just because I liked the whole, like, why the heck is it being so weird aspect to it, whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier is more or less, "Hey, let's, stop the bad guys." Whereas WandaVision, you didn't even know there was an antagonist at first, which was what made it really fascinating to me. So I love it when you use a lot of emphasis on your words. It always makes me chuckle. Hmm, that's interesting. Well, even if I wanted to watch it, say so, I'm not sure if I actually have a means to do it. I don't really have, I mean, I can check my TV, but I don't think I have a subscription to a show that has anime. I mean, unless if it's on Disney Plus. But I don't think I'm able to watch it. Like, as much as I'd like to rewatch Death Note, I don't think that's actually possible at the moment. Because I no longer have Netflix, I no longer have Hulu. The only thing I really have is Disney Plus. I mean, I was a huge fan of Thor Ragnarok, and I do think that even in the Thor movies that were just okay, Tom Hiddleston was amazing. So I definitely plan on watching it. Maybe not right away, but I plan on watching it when it comes out. Whew. So, I want you guys to know that you've been really great in providing a good virtual birthday present. I love hearing all of your different opinions and personalities and interests. And even though you all have such varying interests, it's just great that you're willing to talk about them. Like I I don't know how to explain it really well, so bear with me for a bit. But I'm usually the one that talks about my interests when I talk about when I talk to my friends, because they often don't think that their lives are interesting enough to talk about. But even when you guys say something as simple as "This is what I like hearing that because a lot of times you kind of just shout it out, and that's great. I love it. So please keep it up. Thank you very much. Yes, Ragnarok was the best Thor movie, especially because 80% of it was ad libbed, which really makes me chuckle because I love ad-libbing myself. Because believe it or not, you guys, I used to be not a professional actor, but um, I did I did like Stations of the Cross performances with my youth group, and I actually played Jesus my senior year. So I've had acting experience, even if it's not professional acting. So I have a certain affinity for when I'm able to ad lib my way out of a situation. And in fact, when I played Jesus, I actually suggested to the director how I should play Jesus more accurately. And a lot of times, I mean, I also picked the director. Like I said, Adrian, you should direct the play this year. And she said, okay. And then I said, Adrian, you should tell me to do this because I think that would be more realistic. So I guess you could say I was sub director. Logan? I haven't even heard of that, Zoe. If you're gonna explain it to me, just leave out the needles, but you can explain everything else. Unless the other guys here are sensitive to that kind of stuff. Simon. Oh, you mean when we did? Oh, yes, in Stations. Funny thing about that is the guy that played Simon actually was named Simon, so we kind of had a little bit of fun teasing him for that. Yeah, the 3 times I did live stations, because we also did, reading stations where we just had lines on a piece of paper. When I played live stations, I was able to do it 3 times in high school. The first time, I played one of the Roman centurions, which was a really boring role, where we basically just walked up and down, and then we carried the crucified victims off the stage. Then the second year, I played, I think it was John of the Cross, and I had to pretend to cry, which was easier said than done. And then the third year, I played Jesus, which was also easier said than done because that cross was really heavy. And I'm not very strong right now, and I was even less strong back when I was in high school. Like, if you guys think I'm thin right now, just like imagine more like this. And that's how I was in high school. And man, like when I was huffing and puffing and falling over, that wasn't acting. That was me legitimately trying to keep my balance. Not that any of you saw it. It wasn't videotaped or anything like that. Uh, yeah, I don't really watch X-Men too much, so can't say I know what Logan is. That's neat, Firam. That's really neat. I think from what I know about you, it seems like you kinda have a sadistic torture type of side to you, unless if I'm misreading one of your earlier comments, but I don't know, it's a really cool mindset you have. Easter Symphony, unless if you're talking about the one where they just say "Alleluia" over and over again, no, I haven't. But one symphony I have heard of is Mozart's Requiem. I actually sung in that. If you guys are interested, I can actually, um that might be rude if I put it here in the chat, unless you guys disagree, but they actually videotaped me singing in the Mozart's Requiem choir. I'm all the way in the back. I'm one of the tenors, and we sang the whole song in Latin. So if you're ever just like, "Oh, Paul, you can actually sing?" It's like, "Yes, I can sing." I just don't sing very much because I don't think a lot of people like my natural singing range. But I'm capable of doing pretty much any range except, like, probably, like, lowest bass singing and highest alto are probably the ones I can't do, but, like, I can slip into soprano and baritone territory when I want to, but bass, maybe for a couple of seconds, like, if I'm singing the refrain of Ring of Fire, but I probably couldn't maintain it for a whole orchestra. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with being sadistic. I've been told I'm sadistic at times too, so that totally happens. Generally speaking, Zoe, I don't like to listen to symphonies all the way through unless if they're from video games because a lot of symphonies like they'll start out very soft and then they'll get really loud and that just really hurts my ears because I have sensitive ears. So I tend to prefer video game symphonies just because they tend to be more, I guess, consistent all the way through. Say so. Does Genshin Impact have symphonic pieces? Because if it does, that's going to make me doubly interested. Yeah, that is true. I saw that, Jevil. I'm definitely getting my hopes up for a rare replay collection, but I'm also not going to get my hopes too far up just because I don't generally know of too many companies that buy back their characters after they sell them off. Sure, talk about Yanfei more. That would be great. If Yanfei was the one that you said reminded you of me, then I would be really happy. Half illuminated. Ooh, the law. Oh, you just said the magic word, Saiso, because I love Ace Attorney. Yeah, even Mozart's Requiem, the song that I was in the choir of, I had to stop myself from plugging my ears the actual day because once those sopranos came on, I just could not take it. I was so even like if I'm with my friends and I say, "Hey, you want to watch the Mozart symphony that I was in?" I will always mute or forward the solo sections because I don't like operatic singing. And I'm not saying if any of you guys are operatic singers that you're bad. It's more so the fact that I just have sensitive ears and certain pitches are just really hard for my ears to handle. So don't take it personally if any of you sing solos in a symphony. I think the only range I could hear without getting um, totally annoyed would probably if a female were to sing in a tenor tone, I think I could probably handle that. But anything from like male tenor upward is like too hard for my ears to handle. Although I have heard some girls be able to sing really, really deep. Like Della Reese, if you've ever heard her, man, her voice is like either baritone or bass, and that's amazing for a woman's range. You will die by the law. I love it. I love it, Saiso. You need to make like a Phoenix Wright meme of that because that would be so cool. Yes, I got your reference, Jebel. I would not mind in the slightest if Phoenix Wright made his way into Smash Brothers. Let me just put a let me just put a reminder here in chat so that I'm not being too rude. There. Now I didn't actually post a link in the description. Because I've heard that that's like, not only is it rude, but YouTube can consider it spam at times, and I don't want you guys to get that impression. I know it's my own stream, but I want to follow the same rules that I would have to adhere if I was on someone else's stream. So have you actually played Ace Attorney? Because if you have, I would be curious if you were able to compare this Yan Fei character to Miles Edgeworth. Because I think that's probably the closest I can get to understanding someone who's obsessed with law. Thank you, Jevil. Sometimes it's easy to forget that because we all have sinful nature and we all have problems and we all make mistakes. But I think overall it's impossible for any of us to not be awesome if we're following our conscience and at least trying to respect lives. I think I could be wrong here, but from my current understanding, I generally think that the only people in the world that are truly evil are the people that do not regard human life and they sort of push their own agendas over the common good of like what would respect the most lives, what would show humans that they're precious and worth, they're the highlight of God's entire creation. And even if you don't believe in God, you still have to believe that humans are a very special kind of breed. Like we can reason and have free will that's very different than the animals. And so our species really ought to be preserved. Yes, I do write songs, Zoe. I haven't written too many, but I would say that the ones that I have written tend to be huge hits. Like whenever I play The Great Embrace, oh my gosh, there are people that say I should get that recorded. But I'm kind of shy about being too I'm kind of shy about being too popular. Like I'm always afraid that if I get too many subscribers on my YouTube channel, that I won't be able to talk to you guys enough and I won't be able to like forge deeper connections. Like I might get to a stream and I'll have like thousands of comments pouring at once and I won't be able to get to them on time. I want to make sure that every single one of you here in chat feels like you're not being left out and I can respond to everything you're saying and I can perfectly respond. If you comment on my videos, I can see every comment. That's why I don't try really hard to follow a lot of YouTube advice because I feel like if I got too popular, that would either make me too big-headed or that would make me too much of a jerk. And I really just I want to I want to just have I want to be a discussion maker first and foremost. When you say the stream, so are you referring to someone else or are you referring to like has Pegasus streamed it? Like what do you mean by that? Um Getting back to your question, Zoe, I don't really write songs very much anymore just because now that I've gotten out of depression, I don't really feel the need to write songs. Whereas when I was in depression, that was how I got out a lot of what was being kept on the inside. So if you look at some of my very, very, very earliest if you look at my very earliest YouTube videos, they're almost all composed of songs that I've written. So the ones on this channel that you could check out, I have I'll write them down here in a comment so you can copy and paste it onto an email or something. But when I'm referring to the Mozart symphony, I didn't write that. I just sang in it, but I have written my own songs as well. Unfortunately, not a problem, JP. Unfortunately, what was I gonna say? Unfortunately, most of my good songs have been deleted because Facebook got rid of notes, and so I don't think there's any way I can recover those. So a lot of them I'll just have to hope that I remember them and just sing them to an audience that doesn't think my singing voice is the devil incarnate. Oh, that's totally fine, Zoe. I get that my streams can be have technical difficulties. Yeah, that is very true. But now that I'm mostly happy, I don't think I'm ever going to be perfectly happy. I mean, the other day I was crying until 3 o'clock in the morning, but I I think for the most part I'm happy enough where I don't feel the inspiration to put it into a song. That's not to say I won't ever write a song again. It's just that it's probably going to be more spread out. Because, like, The Great Embrace, I wrote back in 2012. And then Crazy for My Broken Heart, I wrote in 2013, which was when the depression was really hitting hard. But nowadays, it's like, I've been depression free for, get this, 5 years and 1 month. I've been depression free. Not to say that I don't have sad moments, but I'm not like in the depths of despair thinking I'm never going to get out of it anymore. Say so, I apologize if I'm not like actually responding to anything you're saying. It's more of just I'm taking it in and being in awe of how passionate you are about this game. Like, I really, really love it. If you wanted to, say so, if you wanted to start just an entire Twitter thread where all you did was gush about Genshin Impact, I would not say no to that. I would actually think that that would be an honor that you would include me in such a thing. I think you did it before, but we kind of dropped out of it. But maybe if you like re-get me into it, that would be amazing. But yes, Mission Trip 2018, that was. Oh yeah, have a great day, JP. Thank you for so much for stopping by. Yeah, sounds good. Can't promise I'll look at it right away, but I'll definitely probably get to it probably by tonight or tomorrow. Because I do plan on watching Pegasus's Zero Time Dilemma stream, and nothing gets in the way of me and Zero Time Dilemma, as Jevil can tell you if you're still here. Another thing that I really like about Zero Time Dilemma is that when I tell people about parts of the game out of context, they have a tendency to relate it to the faith. So obviously, I don't want to spoil anything if you're still here, Jevil. But the other day, I I spoiled something from that game to one of my friends because she's not really a big horror fan. And so I had a feeling that she was never going to play it. So I gave kind of a dummy explanation of like, hey, this happens in this game to cause this to happen. And she says, oh my gosh, that reminds you of God. And so I'll be like, okay, that's cool. You can somehow think about God in the midst of all this terrible stuff happening. The musketry era? You might have to explain that to me, Furim, because I've never actually heard of that. I think for me, what I find inspiring is people that don't lie, and I also find people that are loyal to be inspiring to me. Because most of my friends are either very forgetful or they're, I guess, like very absorbed in their work and school. And so it's really hard for me to fathom that because I always I always set aside time for friends and God at least 1 day a week. And to have a job that's so demanding that you kind of like break away from your friend group. I mean, if you need to do it for the money, then you need to do it for the money. I'm not going to judge anyone who has a worse financial situation than me. But if you get to the point where that's like consuming your life and you're miserable and not talking to your friends for 3 years, that's where I would personally draw the line and just say, no, I can't do that. I like my friends too much. Doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily make me an extroverted person, but it does make me an outgoing person because I do like being around people. I just need very controlled doses of it. Wait, when you say muskets, do you mean like old-fashioned guns? Because weren't old-fashioned guns called muskets because of what? Because they would put like musket powder on the bullets or something like that. If you guys need to head out, make sure you let me know because I don't want to feel like I've scared people away from the stream. Because I don't really know stream etiquette whatsoever. I'm trying really hard to be as good as possible, but I'm not a mind reader. I can't always tell what you guys want. So I will check it out as soon as this stream is over, Saisu, just so that I'm not, or Saiso, my apologies, just so that I'm not rude to everyone that's still here. But yeah, once the stream ends, I will definitely check it out. Ah, yes, muskets. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's where the Three Musketeers were inspired from, right? Oh, my apologies, Jevil. I must have missed your previous comment. Yeah, I definitely think that that was a big part of how I recovered from my depression. Thank you for the like, whoever did that. Much appreciated. Not that I'm really the type of YouTuber that's overly obsessed with likes, but that at least I would assume that when a person likes a stream, it's because they actually watched it all the way through, or at least in the case of streams, they've watched most of it. And it just means a lot that I'm not boring to you guys. Because I was told I talked a lot as a kid, so I like knowing that I'm not talking too much. Well, guys, I'm almost out of water, and you know what that means. When I'm almost out of water, that means I don't want to hurt my voice too much, and it's relatively close to dinner time. I'll try to keep it going for a couple more minutes just in case there are latecomers or if you guys have pressing questions, but try not to do a very in-depth question unless if it's like a super emergency, like my mother just died, I have no one to talk to, something like that. But like if it's something like I don't know, like, hey Paul, why don't you tell me your thoughts on Breath of the Wild 2? Well, actually, that's a terrible example because I hardly know anything about that game. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up pretty soon, just so that my throat doesn't feel like it's on fire. I don't want to think that I have COVID when it's truly just that I've been talking too much. Between you and me, guys, I've had way too many false alarms in the past couple of weeks, and I I'm definitely glad that so far I've had a really good immune system. Thank you, Zoe. I've had a blast so far, and I intend to keep having a blast. I may even videotape some of it because I've got friends coming over pretty much every day for the next couple of weeks. So I'll see what I can do about getting some video footage and showing you if that would make you happy. Yeah. But thank you for showing up, Zoe. It means a lot to me that you've been so loyal so far. Well, Furum, judging by your sense of humor, I'm thinking I may really love your YouTube videos. Yeah, Zoe, I would like to make a personal recommendation that you, how do I word this? How do I word this? Let's just, to try to be as vague as possible, let's just say Furum and I go further back than a lot of you realize. And so I can personally vouch that he's got a very good character. And I think you'd do yourself a favor by yes, Jevil, you will definitely see me tonight. That is a guarantee, unless Pegasus canceled it, but I'm definitely going to be there. Hey, if any of you guys are interested, if you check out Pegasus Angels, you can see me every Friday and Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern time. If you are just like, I want to chat with Paul more, but his face, then you can just come to Pegasus Angels. So let me just put something in here. Zoe, one last question I wanted to ask you before I wrap up, assuming you're still here, is have you made any new videos lately? Because I haven't seen them popping up on my news feed. Because I definitely want to check out more of what you have to say. Because even though I don't like philosophy, you do a better job than all of my friends combined of explaining it, which is amazing. Also, another question I want to ask is if you guys, if you have any like one last question or request, I would like it if you would, if you could say that now, so I can give all of you a proper goodbye. That would be that would be much appreciated, and then I can end the stream properly. Sounds good, Zoe. I'll be looking forward to it. And thank you for watching, I should be saying, because you started watching me before I started watching you. Yeah, I'm starting to get tired. Oh, hey, Patrick. I'm actually about to end the stream because I'm out of water, but I'm glad that you showed up. Better late than never. Yeah, thank you, Zoe. That would be great. Have a good day. So, Patrick, if you have like a quick question that you'd like to ask, that would be wonderful. But otherwise, I'm going to be tuning out really soon so that I don't think that my sore voice from talking too much is actually COVID, which it probably isn't. But I don't want to get paranoid because there have been a lot of false alarms lately. But I've never gotten it yet. Also, because you came late, have you seen my Banjo and Kazooie amiibo yet? It's so cool. Yeah, I apologize that my streaming schedule is so erratic, but I really am trying to do it more frequently this year just because I know a lot of you guys like this. Some of you like this even more than I do. So I'm going to keep trying. Patrick, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I have the same name as my YouTube channel. That might make it a little bit easier for you to keep track of when I'm streaming. So just look up the Catholic Gaming Nerd on Twitter. You'll find me, not a problem. Furim, do you have any last words slash requests before I head off? Because I think you're the only one left that's still watching. Also, fun fact about this t-shirt. I actually got it from Catholic Artwork Camp. So if you look at the back, I can't really see my own back, but hopefully this will get the job done. If you guys look carefully enough, you can actually see that the words on the back are in the shape of the letters CHWC. Yeah, sounds good, Furim. I can't promise that I'll actually be there because I've got plans most of the day, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. This has been a pleasure, and I'll try to stream again in the near future. Can't promise when, but we'll see. So you all have a wonderful day, and if any of you have birthdays coming up, happy eventual birthday. So until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and let's hope something better than Banjo graces video games in the next 20 years. Bye bye.